Today, we're talking about Path of Exile 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the beloved Path of Exile. It's still in early access, but PoE 2 is shaping up to be something special, and you should try it out if you haven't already. For anyone who's new to the genre, Path of Exile 2 is the sequel to Path of Exile, developed by Grinding Gear Games, a studio based in New Zealand. It's a dark, gritty action RPG where you'll slay thousands of monsters, collect randomized loot, and face against plenty of bosses as you level up and build your character. It takes the foundation built by PoE 1 and removes a lot of the obtuse elements that made it relatively inaccessible to new players. Let's start with the campaign. Right now, only 3 out of 6 acts are available, but they're looking fantastic. You pick a class, give yourself a name, and you're in the game. Right away, you'll notice that the pacing is much slower compared to PoE 1 or most other modern ARPGs. You start as an exile washed up on shore and use whatever stick you can find to beat down the few enemies in your way. But by the end of the campaign, you'll be tearing down groups of mobs with beautifully designed skills. The lightning and frost effects in particular look fantastic. Die-hard PoE 1 fans will likely want something a little bit faster than what's here, but as a fan of slower paced games like Diablo 2 and Dark Souls, I found the pace of the game to be great. I really enjoy that you have to earn your power through smart gearing, farming, and build choice, which made the character growth feel rewarding. Lately, there are so many games that give your character power so fast that nothing feels particularly earned. But in PoE 2 on my Lightning Arrow Deadeye character, it was so satisfying progressing my basic Lightning Arrow skill at the start of the game to this screen-wiping blast in the endgame. The slower pace to progression here made each gear choice, each skill point feel more meaningful. Enemies are dangerous, requiring you to learn their patterns carefully. The highlight of the entire campaign, though, are the boss fights. These are the best boss fights in the genre hands down. Challenging, well-designed, and incredibly satisfying to master. Even this first boss here had surprisingly a good number of moves and mechanics mixed in to make for a really enjoyable introductory fight. Boss's attacks are well telegraphed for the most part, but are punishing. Fans of Souls-like combat will be at home here with how the checkpoint system is set up to allow you to grind out these difficult fights until you master them. Visually, the game is gorgeous with some of the highest fidelity graphics of all ARPGs. Environments are tonally dark, but cover a wide range of colors. Reds, greens, dark blues, it's all there. That said, while the campaign experience has been stellar for me, the endgame system needs more time in the oven. You navigate through different levels called maps using waystone items, but where it becomes frustrating lies in the balancing. Monster damage scales up so high, but their defenses not so much. This leads to more binary gameplay of either one-shotting the mobs or getting one-shotted yourself, which feels so different from the more dynamic combat found in the campaign. Dying 2 is also too punishing, setting you back 10% of your level's XP and losing you the waystone completely, where in the campaign you are free to repeatedly try at the challenges as much as you like. I hope GGG Studios irons out the balance here over the future patches. Now let's talk about the combat. If you played PoE 1, you know that it was fast, like ridiculously fast. PoE 2 slows things down considerably until the endgame, which is a welcome change for me. Everything feels more methodical and deliberate, almost akin to the combat found in Diablo 2. Enemy attack patterns actually matter now, and you'll need to pay attention to what exactly is happening on screen instead of zooming through everything. Being a Souls fan, one of the best additions for me is the dodge roll. It adds a layer of timing to the gameplay, which makes fights, particularly the boss battles, feel more dynamic and engaging. No matter how strong or weak your build is, the dodge roll always gives the player a level of agency to outplay situations, which feels great. As mentioned earlier though, the endgame combat does go back to the PoE 1 style of speed a little bit, but it still remains more measured in comparison. One of the biggest criticisms of PoE 1 was how overwhelming it could be for new players. The skill tree was massive, the crafting systems were complex, and there were so many league mechanics to keep track of. Path of Exile 2 streamlines a lot of these systems while retaining a good chunk of the depth that the series is known for. The skill tree is still huge, but the nodes are simpler and more intuitive. Respeccing is more available, with skill points now refundable with farmable gold. Crafting is way more straightforward, almost to a fault. Applying different crafting items such as orbs of augmentation and exalted orbs add randomized lines of stats to your gear. For a crafting system, it's just too random at the moment and needs more deterministic options. Nothing to the extent of PoE 1, but more agency in how you want your crafted item to turn out will make for a much smoother experience. Hardcore fans of the original might miss the sheer complexity, but for newcomers, this is a much more approachable experience and the Steam numbers show. Finally, let's not forget the loot, the heart of every ARPG. Path of Exile 2 has something solid here in the early access that I think is a large improvement over PoE 1. Loot quantity, especially during the campaign, is much more scarce. Rare and unique items are infrequent, making every piece of loot that drops feel meaningful. They could tweak up the crafting item drop rates a little bit, but personally, I enjoy the scarce loot as it makes everything that drops feel more exciting and relevant. You also don't have to spend minutes on end reading through dozens of junk items like in Diablo 4, hoping for an upgrade, and can just focus on just playing the game. If some of the unique items could just be adjusted to be a little bit more powerful, I think itemization will be in a pretty good spot. I can't wait until the full release puts in more item types to round out the looting experience. So should you try Path of Exile 2? Absolutely. Whether you're a veteran of the genre or someone looking to dive into your first ARPG, the sheer quality found in this game is at least worth a look. The campaign is engaging, the combat is refined. RPG systems are more accessible without losing the deep character building. The early access is around $30, but there are thousands of hours of enjoyment to be had here, whether it's grinding through the endgame or rolling a different class. If not, be sure to have eyes on this one for its full release, which will be free to play. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more content and recommendations. If you enjoyed this video, a like and a subscribe will help support the channel in making more content like this one. Thank you.